All right, welcome everyone. I'm delighted that everyone's here. I really enjoy these performances, experiences, opportunity to work with the Iowa Arts Council to do something for the community for free. So this was a project that was funded by an arts project grant from Iowa Arts Council. And I dove into some research that helped me better understand experiences I was already having through this type of sound bath format. I was able to study various cultures in eastern Iowa, so Meskwaki in Tama County, Vedic and Transcendental meditation culture down in Fairfield, Washington County. And then some Christian communities in Lynn County and Anamosa. And a lot of my approach to it was looking at, is there different types of phenomenon which are common amongst different cultures? And I also tied that into my own experience with rave culture, so the techno scene. And a bit of the prompt here was that I was considering a lot of people in my generation were becoming less and less religious. Yet there was still a desire for spiritual experiences. And, I think my parents did the best they could to introduce me to all sorts of worlds, religions. My folks are over here, Jennifer and Joel. And particularly my dad, he introduced me to Buddhism, Taoism, Hindu, Judaism, Christianity, and he would list off all of these different figures from world religions, and I just thought it was Jesus and his buddies, and later realized, oh, these are all different religions. But my experience at church was boring. We'd go Easter and Christmas, we were those people. And, you'd sit, you'd stand, you'd sit, or sometimes you'd just sit, and I wasn't having a religious experience. I wasn't having a spiritual experience. And so when I first started going to raves here in Cedar Rapids, that was probably 1993. And I started having transcendent or experiences where I got into these deep reflective states, and it started to fulfill that need. And so part of my research and what I was looking at is what are the commonalities of the technoculture that I experienced and these other spiritual or religious practices and how they use sound to help people into either transcendent or trance-like or reflective states. We'll do a sound bath for 20, 25 minutes. The door's closed. There's a sign on it saying, don't bother us. If you do need to leave, if the bass gets a little too overwhelming, particularly, I think you guys can handle it, but if the bass gets too much, you can scoot away from it. But there are 3 exits. So this exit can get you into the hallway structure of offices. So just go through and take a right and you'll get back to the lobby. And both of these exits. So I know it's crowded. It's kind of a strange configuration with the semicircle here. So just want to cover for fire safety where the exits are. So we will do a sound bath. And then we've got these sheets of paper that we handed out. And if you don't have one, we'll get one to you. Actually, raise your hand if you don't have a sheet of paper. Can you grab some of the sheets to your right and some pens? And what this piece of paper is to write down or draw or anything that comes up for you during the sound bath. And if nothing comes up, that's fine. Or if there's nothing you can articulate, that's fine. I'll trade you a synthesizer for some papers. Okay. I was about to say that's a bad deal. And then at 7:30, we'll open up the door and go into maybe about 20, 30 minutes of presenting the research on this screen over here. So we'll reconfigure, don't worry about that now. The only thing you have to do for the next 20, 25 minutes is just listen to the sound. You don't have to know how to meditate. You don't have to expect anything. Often when you try to induce something special to happen, it can be more difficult to happen. So the way I think of this is just let the sound, I'm a little ambivalent about calling it music, but just let the sound do the work for you. And if you find that you're in your head and you're getting lost, just refocus back on the sound. And a little bit about the technology. I'll be wearing this headband. It's an EEG, brainwave sensing, and heartbeat sensing headband. And so the kick drum, the heartbeat sound that you'll hear out of the speakers is my heartbeat. And so it's this experience of vulnerability where I'm sharing what's going on inside of my chest through the speakers. And that's something that's become important to me over the years, because in the past when I was doing techno, I just hit start on the drum machine and it played and it was quantized and it was a bit of an armor. There was like this protection between me and the audience. With this, you will know if I had coffee today, you will know if I'm nervous, you'll know if I'm sleepy, because it's gonna come out in my heartbeat. And then there's some ocean wave sounds that you'll hear as well, and those ocean wave sounds are triggered by my brain waves. Do you want to get started? Do you want to say anything before we start? So last year I had the opportunity to teach a class called Experimental Methods in Music at NYU. It was a class that was once a week, and it was fantastic. I was able to design it from scratch and look at what are different ways that you can create music through experimental methods. And someone I had met through a mutual friend and then showed up in my class here is Cece. And she's visiting from New York, from NYU. And we collaborated both on the performance and the sound, and then also the research. And so we'll both be presenting at 7:30. So I want to say thank you, Cece, for flying to Iowa. She's had a wonderful experience. She's remarked how nice Iowans are. And she described when she was landing, it was nighttime and there was these clouds and it felt like a dream. And I was like, that's a really beautiful way to come to Iowa. She was staying up in a hotel off of, I think, Collins, and I was like, this is not representative of Cedar Rapids, but is now down here at CSPS in a much more charming neighborhood. So, Cece, do you want to share anything before we get started?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm really happy to be here. The sheets that we sent out was an idea that I learned from a class about music therapy. And the idea of it is to draw a mandala. So that's why we designed the circles. But in music therapy, or traditional music therapy as a discipline, we don't use electronic music as the receptive method, but I want to break the barriers. So when it only uses traditional Western classical music as the receptive music, I want to try, maybe we should do some electronic sound bath and let you draw something. When you are listening to the transcendental music, and then after that, maybe some images will pop into your head, and maybe you'll have some synesthesia experience. And then we encourage you to draw on the paper or write anything you just had during the meditation on the paper. After it, we encourage you to share, or you don't have to share. Just feel for it and find a comfortable sitting or lying down. And I hope you enjoy it.
Wonderful. All right, let's get started. Thank you, Cece. Jason Smith. I think it's either 8 or 16 on that board. turn to your right, and then there's a light switch in that small room.